Hey guys, I just want to bring up an opportunity for resource investors. If you want to rub elbows with the big wigs and talk to companies directly that are handpicked by Rick Rule, well, you got to be in Boca Raton from July 7th to 11th for the Rick Rule Symposium. The event has become a premier event in the mining space, and they're going to have some pretty big speakers like Robert Friedland, Sean Rusin, and the great Rick Rule. And also, we're going to be there. You can meet the Deep Dive team in person. So if you're interested in rubbing elbow with some of the biggest heavy hitters in junior mining, check out the link below. Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm chatting with Kal Malhi from Hertz Energy. In this interview, we discuss how the Canadian junior markets feel like they are finally turning the corner, and we're starting to see some capital flow into various mining names. We also discuss Hertz Energy's plans for the summer in their James Bay Lithium projects. We also discuss how Hertz Energy has acquired some really promising uranium properties that they plan to spin out if all goes well. All right, everybody, enjoy the interview. Kal, thanks for joining us today.
Good morning, Steve. Thanks for having me back.
So I don't know what your take on what's been happening in the Canadian junior markets over the last few months is, but I kind of feel like we bottomed out in December of 2023. And especially in regards to some of the lithium names, it feels like things have sort of come back a little bit in regards to some of the equities that we see and also the price of lithium. What's your read right now on what's happening in the lithium market in regards to the equities?
I think, Steve, with lithium, we're seeing a sentiment change. Investors have gotten quite frustrated, and the market changes. Investors go from a real craze for an investment, and then they'd get deflated, and they want to just run away from it. And I think we've seen the runaway phase simmer away, and they're coming back in. Now we're seeing some investments, some large-size investments come back into lithium. Patriot Battery just announced a $75 million placement that was closed within 24 hours. There's been other commodities investments that have closed for large dollars. So we're seeing sentiment come back. We're seeing investment from funds come back. So that's a good sign for the mineral exploration industry.
I think that just also sort of a parallel to that note would be what we sort of see happening in the EV transition, which is it feels like sentiment gets a little bit too hot or too cold to reality at any given time. And I was recently watching an interview with Mary Barra, the CEO of General Motors, talking about how GM plans to build and sell what was it? It was 1 million electric vehicles by 2025. And for reference, in 2023, they sold about 75,000 electric vehicles. So that's a pretty big jump. And what's sort of funny about that, and what they discussed in that interview, was how this idea that the EV hype bubble popped, and we sort of see that's happened sort of with some of these stocks, but it's still moving forward. It's not like we're not suddenly going to be going to dealerships and seeing a tremendous amount of electric vehicles when we walk into the floor. What's your take on what's happening with electric vehicles? Do you think that maybe there was a little bit too much hype there, but it's still moving forward? Or do you think that we're starting to see that sort of range anxiety impact consumers? Where do you see the EV industry heading over the next few years, and also in regards to Canada?
Steve, I think a lot of the public information is always run by the media, and when the media wants to jump on a commodity, they go big, and when they want to get negative, they go pretty big as well. So if we look beyond the sensational media coverage, the truth is electric car vehicle companies are fully vested in electric vehicles. Tesla, GM, Honda, Toyota, everybody. But that's also supplemented by the move by governments to mandate that we go way into electric vehicles. And that mandate is being supported by huge dollars being committed, grants being committed. In Canada, I think we've had $12 billion in government grants to fund development of electric vehicle battery plants, not automotive plants, but electric vehicle battery plants. And I think that supports that electric vehicles and lithium batteries are here to stay.
Let's talk about Hertz Energy. The last time we spoke, you guys had property in Brazil, as well as your ACDC property in Quebec, which is the company's main focus, as I understand it. What do the exploration plans look like for 2024?
Steve, I want to just back up and talk about James Bay, Quebec, which is where our two major projects are located, which we've raised $1.5 million in exploration funding to go to the ground this year. As you know, James Bay had a big fire situation last year. There was an expectation and a lot of capital that was ready to go to explore James Bay last year, but the fire season limited the exploration to about 10 days last year. So there's a lot of companies waiting, sitting on cash and exploration programs, waiting to unleash on exploration in James Bay. As well, Patriot Battery has been delivering phenomenal results the last year on their Covette discovery that just keeps growing and growing. Winsome Resources has also developed a huge, decent sized resource of about 60 million tons, and we're seeing a return of capital. The stocks of both of those companies have appreciated in the last couple of months, and we're now on the cusp of a 2024 exploration season in James Bay, and we're ready to go this year.
Given that the location of the property is a little bit north, what can you tell us about the sort of nearby infrastructure? How hard is it to access the property?
That's in James Bay?
Yeah.
Well, the James Bay property is near a highway, the major highway. I believe it's called the James Bay Highway, or I forget the exact name, but we're near infrastructure and we're actually able to share our exploration programs with adjoining companies that are in the industry. Our exploration programs are led by DeRouche Geological. Obviously, Jody DeRouche runs DeRouche Geological. He was a big part of the Patriot discovery. He's also got a big exploration company that's James Bay Lithium focused, and they'll be guiding our programs.
So what are the two main projects in focus right now for Hertz Energy in terms of lithium?
Well, in lithium, Steve, as I mentioned, we raised $1.5 million flow through at the end of last year, which is dedicated strictly for James Bay. In James Bay, we have our ACDC project that adjoins Rio Tinto's project. We share geology with them. We were only able to get on that ground for 2 days last year. We're going back to that in early July. And we believe we have targets there that will that have a high likelihood of getting us really good results, although nothing can be guaranteed in mineral exploration. But we're excited to go to ACDC next to Rio Tinto. And we also have our Snake property, which is next to Brunswick's new discovery at their Elrond discovery.
So let's switch the conversation to uranium. You guys recently announced that you obtained further claims in Nunavut, where you guys basically have reassembled the Kal Uranium Project. What drew you to this project?
Steve, being a critical minerals company, we saw the shift or sentiment for investors to invest in uranium. So, we're not abandoning our lithium projects. We're still 110% focused on lithium, but we saw an opportunity to acquire some uranium assets. We acquired our Kal Uranium Project about 4 months ago. It was last explored by Kal in the mid-70s. We were waiting to acquire a project that's been owned at the core of our Kal project by a lithium exploration mineral, a renowned lithium exploration geologist, I would say. And we were able to secure those claims last week. Those claims hold some pretty substantial exploration results from Kal in the mid-1970s, including some drill hole results that were very impressive. So we believe we've locked up our Kal project, which has very good results from the mid-70s, and we're going to go to that ground with exploration technologies that are from the current technology used for mineral exploration.
So we've had Troy Beaujolais on multiple times from Atha Energy, who is probably discovered one of the top uranium assets in history, probably one of the world's top mining assets in the last 2 decades. And I know he is super excited about Nunavut, and he says that he thinks that it looks like it could be the next Athabasca Basin. how competitive is it to purchase properties right now in Nunavut, or even just stake quality land?
Steve, Nunavut has gone through a big change last year. The Nunavut Mineral Land Administration was done by the Canadian federal government. Just this summer or this spring, there was an agreement with the Indigenous people or the people of Nunavut, where the administration of mineral lands has been handed down to the territory of Nunavut. Now they'll be administering their own territory. So before that, permitting and other issues were lengthy because obviously anything going through federal takes forever. So that's being cleaned up, and I think you'll see mineral exploration companies pour back into Nunavut. We were lucky to secure our Caminco ground early, and our cost has been very low. We did not dilute our stock. Our cost was under $70,000 for the acquisition.
So you guys also have acquired some uranium projects in Namibia, as I understand it. What draws you to Namibia?
Yeah, again, using our project generator expertise, we were able to secure a very talented geologist in Namibia. We tasked her to identify some ground that was open, and we did make applications for two very sound, geologically sound areas in Namibia. So we have two pending permits in Namibia that complement our Caminco Uranium Project in Nunavut to give us a strong uranium portfolio without diluting our stock. We haven't issued a single share to acquire a uranium portfolio, but we believe those are two very strong assets within the company.
So what does, if I'm a shareholder watching this or a potential investor and I'm interested in Hertz Energy, what does the remainder of 2024 look like in terms of potential milestones, catalysts, timelines? What am I excited about over the remainder of the year?
Steve, I'm biased, obviously, as the CEO of Hertz, but I believe we're at a very exciting stage for Hertz. We've got $1.5 million dedicated strictly to James Bay. We hope we'll have a full exploration season there this year. We've engaged a very strong exploration team with DeRouge. So we believe in James Bay. Our ACDC and our Snake projects are very exciting, and we'll be there in late June and early July. As well as our uranium assets, will be in Nunavut with a strong exploration program. But, with our uranium portfolio, we've acquired it without any dilution. And I'm hoping that with some initial results, we can spin out our uranium assets into a separate company that we may call something like Hertz Uranium. And shareholders of Hertz Energy will get a share, or will, depending on how we denominate it, they'll get equity in Hertz Uranium from being shareholders in Hertz Energy. And I have to caution, this is just a concept we have. It's no guarantee that it'll happen, but that is our hope, that if we get initial good results on uranium, our uranium portfolio will be spun out and Hertz Energy will stay laser focused on lithium with a heavy focus in James Bay.
So Kal, last question for you here. I know that it's been a challenging couple of years for a lot of the lithium names and Canadian junior market investors in general. Can you give us some sort of reason to be optimistic of why we should be excited in some of these junior names, despite the fact that it has been a couple of rough years, and maybe why you think things are about to turn?
Steve, we are seeing a turn in the mineral exploration sector. We're seeing some large financings close last year. We've seen some a bounce in the lithium company stocks. The most exciting in James Bay, we saw Patriot Battery, which is on the cusp of closing a $75 million financing. And as well as there was a lot of money raised for flow through capital and dedicated to James Bay that couldn't go to James Bay last year due to the fires, but is going to be unleashed in James Bay, and I think we'll see some new discoveries. And we're in that same camp. We have $1.5 million in our flow-through funds that's dedicated to James Bay. We've got some 2 district-scale projects in James Bay that we're going to be hitting very hard, and we're very excited, and we're hoping that this year the fire seasons will not be a play, and that the exploration seasons will cause a different type of fire in James Bay stocks. As well as the capital markets, and the uranium market is also hot, and we position Hertz Energy to possibly do a spin-off of our uranium assets.
Well, Cal, thanks for hopping on here today, and please come back on here after we get some of these exploration results, and then we can discuss them.
Okay, and Steve, thanks again. Thanks for having me, and I'm excited about the coming year.
All right, everybody, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this interview, please smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Also, let me know what you think in the comment section. Thanks, everyone.